seen nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. You ain't seen nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. I think there's something in the water. If you wanna take a sip, but be careful what you wish for. The faint of heart can't handle it. Everybody wants a piece of someone else's prize, but it ain't free, it don't come cheap. Only the strongest will survive. You ain't seen nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing.
Not sure why it double tapped, but it double tapped on this show here. So we always start it interesting here. But welcome to SA Soccer Roundtable. My name is Harry. I'm going to be making probably some crazy picks compared to the co-hosts Rafa and Steve, because they know it a whole lot more than I do. But just like the NCAA tournament bracketology brackets, sometimes it's the person that knows the least that gets it right here. So we're going to pick our top 4 teams. We're also going to talk a little bit about they say conference cutoffs, but isn't it district cutoff for it here from the UIL, according to this sheet here, but we'll talk to that here in a second. But introduction, Rafa, I know you just got back from Victoria, so hopefully you had decent travel to and from. Hopefully avoided the storms.
Lots of fog.
Lots of fog.
Fog over there, and then the way back wasn't too bad.
Fog is dangerous, though.
Yeah,
especially with animals and
like
that here.
There's a bunch of cows and
especially you heading towards the coast. Deer and
javelinas and
wild pigs, right? I don't know if wild pigs get down. I believe they're down that far, but yeah. Steve, I see you're representing the USA hat. Rafa's got his Mexico hat. We haven't touched base with you since the World Cup, or in a while here, but World Cup draw as a USA men's national team fan. You happy or not happy?
I was actually, I was happy. So, thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate the invite, fellas. But yeah, no, I was happy with the draw. I think it's a good little path for the U.S. to, possibly finish the top of the group. We'll see what happens. How it all plays out. Just kind of like how Harry was mentioning with the bracket picks. Anything happens. That's why they play the game, right?
Unless you're SEC football, where you're undefeated in hypothetical matchups, but we won't go there. Rafa, Liga MX ended up craziness,
some controversy.
So,
there's a lot said on ESPN Deportes, and there was almost some fisticuffs too with the Toluca coach and one of the announcers. Yeah.
So it was what the team that you didn't want to win ended up coming back and winning late, and then I think in PKs, I think they won by 1 in PKs, if memory serves me correct. So
yeah, I think Royce mentioned that was probably the worst PK shooting he's seen in a while.
Probably since SAFC and what was it, Oklahoma City Energy back in the day, where I think we missed all 5 shots or maybe hit 1 of however many. But just to kind of get started here, there was some news. We'll kind of go into it as we go through the divisions here. Hold on 1 second. UIL announced the numbers, but to me, more importantly, they announced the cutoffs. So for 6A, and this is non-football, but for 6A, the number dropped to 2215, which I believe was lower than most people expected for that here. I think, Rafa, you mentioned that you thought it would be closer to 30, right?
I thought like maybe 22, 40, 30, 40 in between there. I think because of the whole thing with 5A having a bunch of teams.
5A also dropped a little bit. I think it was by 10 from 1305 to 1315 to 1305 for 5A, and then for soccer it doesn't really matter anything lower than that because there's not a 3A right now for UIL soccer. So between 4A and 3A doesn't matter a whole lot. I'll start with you, Steve. Your initial thoughts on the numbers and anything that stood out to you, whether it's in the San Antonio area or just Texas overall.
Yeah, we'll kind of see how the districts kind of get aligned here.
In
You know,
February.
in February, especially north side, northeast. You've got the Cibolo Shirts area, you know, southwest. Where they fall, Southwest Legacy. So curious to see how it all plays out. The other thing that I'm also curious about is going to see if they're going to actually have divisions before district play. I know that's a little bit of a different topic, but it kind of gets a little bit aligned with, enrollment and that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, that's, those questions should be answered in a couple months. Well, I mean, almost probably about a month and a half now, less than, 2 months. So
60 days, yeah.
Nope.
Rafa, I know you with Coach Kano and the 50/50 podcast go more statewide. We'll touch base on the local ones here when we go through and pick our 1 through 4. Your thoughts on the numbers outside of being a little bit lower, which I think is probably better. But your thoughts overall on any major news that you saw coming out of it?
I think when this came out, we're kind of anticipating that we're going to lower the number. I think a lot had to do because, with 5A, it's just a logjam of teams, and I know the UIL kind of wants to kind of balance things out. And I really thought maybe that number might be a little bit. I guess I thought maybe 2040, 30s. I even thought maybe they'll try to go to 2200, which I thought that was a possibility. But so they came up with this, and we did kind of some digging around to see some teams. I know statewide, like I said, I think the one team I think I know we talk a lot on the 50 podcast is El Cucuy for School Wakeland. It's gonna be now screening some teams in 6A. So
well, Salina, the other powerhouse up.
Yeah, Salina too. Yep, they're going to the 5A. So we'll see how they do. I mean, this is the last hurrah for them to get that ring number 5 before. I mean, I know Region 1 and Region 2 for 5 over there's it's a gauntlet. I mean, if you come out of there, you're basically a favorite to win state. That's because it's a daunting task. And especially some of the districts there too.
And then the Brownsville, area, if memory serves me right, most of them dropped down to 5A. I think there's 1 or 2 schools that may be left.
Yeah, Veterans Memorial. Yeah, Veterans Memorial for Brownsville State in 6A. So the rest, Hannah moved down to 5A. That's my dad's old high school, and it's gonna be interesting now. Like I said, that I think what's hurting a lot of the Brownsville teams, because remember they used to play on the higher divisions.
Schools, yeah.
And I think that the Idea schools, Jubilee, they're taking a lot. I know, speaking to my uncle, because he works at Brownsville Pace, he mentioned to me, like, is that I know he helps coach football. Their numbers were down. And it's those schools kind of affected them. He actually anticipated that he thought they were going to move down to 4A, be a 4A Division 1, and so he's anticipating maybe in the next realignment, not 1 February, but maybe 2 year, the 2028 one, you could see some changes. So a couple of Brownsville schools end up becoming, 4A Division 1. So, and like I said, we got some new schools coming up, popping up, like we mentioned about Creekview, Long Creek, and then here locally, it looks like Southwest and Legacy are going to move up, and Piper are going to move up to 6A. And
which we'll get to here
Mhm.
for that here as far as kind of the breakdown on that one here. So let's get started here. Uh, District 4A 26. This is how it finished last year. And also, as you can see, the numbers: Davenport, Marble Falls, Fredericksburg, Bandera, Wimberley, Canyon Lake, and Long Creek. New Braunfels Long Creek is going to be playing, although they will play 1 year and then move up to 5A. It looks like here, based on the numbers for that here. So, um, how do we want to do it? We want to each pick our first, or each one of us pick our 1 through 4, and then Rafa, Steve, or whoever decides to go next.
Yeah. You can go, Steve. You can go.
Okay, so
Way to
yeah, here
throw
we go.
Steve under the bus here.
2026. Here we go. Let's get it started, right? 2026, District 26. Here we go.
4A.
Yeah, I would kind of lean towards very similar to the way that the boys shaped up last year. I would pick Davenport to kind of be the front runners, for the district. And a good showing last year from Marble Falls, so I think that that's something that they would probably um, maybe continue. To compete for that district title. So a little bit of chalk there. Um, Go ahead and shake it up a little bit, and I'm gonna throw hmm, throw Wimberley to make a move and maybe get up to 3. And I got a question though for Long Creek. Do we know what part of New Braunfels that's going to be in?
So Long Creek is a sister school to New Braunfels High School.
Okay, it's a little
So
bit
they
deeper
came out with.
inside.
So they were basically this past year were fresh. This year they're freshmen and sophomores. So they played as freshmen last year. So they have some, I guess, a year experience as far as being a team. Not necessarily. I'm sure they played some varsity teams, probably like in the 3A level, 4A level, as far as
Hmm.
non-district. I know they
I know
played.
they played Luling. I
Yeah.
saw that matchup.
So they got some. I guess, like I said, they haven't. I guess you say an experienced team to per se.
Yeah.
When you're under their belt, So,
Yeah, and just the reason I asked is just due to the fact that I know a year or two ago when I was coaching high school boys, we did come across some New Braunfels YSA team, and they had some pretty good talent on that team. So I'm not too sure what part of New Braunfels they were in, but
I think
they had some good talent over there. So I'm just gonna have some fun with this and throw them as number 4.
So I will go Davenport number 1 as well. I'm going to go Fredericksburg as number 2. Marble Falls is 3. And I'm going to go with Wimberley as number 4. As much as I like Bandera, I do think Wimberley underperformed last year, and I think this year they'll step it back up a little bit.
so. I'll go with Davenport as 1. Um, 2, I'll go with Marble Falls. I think they still have some talent. They're well coached. 3, I'll go with Fredericksburg, and I'm gonna go with Long Creek. I think they're gonna surprise some teams. I think that's a team to keep an eye on, even though they might be young. Very similar to Walk to the defending 5A champ, D1 champ. They had a lot of sophomores and freshmen. They did well the first year. I think they're well coached, and they'll make the. I think they'll make the playoffs this year before they jump up to 5A.
So same order: Steve, me, Rafa. District 26 for the ladies. Finished Wimberley, Davenport, Canyon Lake, Fredericksburg, Marble Falls, and not Fredericksburg again. Bandera, and then did not play last year, Long Creek, for that here. So
Yeah, for the ladies, let's see, who was it that got to? Was it
So
Davenport?
this is one of the districts that had two teams to go to state, which was
Okay,
Davenport and
Davenport
Wimberley.
and Wimberley, right?
Both lost, but they went. I think the Wimberley lost in PKs and Davenport lost a close one with Salina.
Gotcha. Okay. Um, yeah, I'm gonna do Wimberley 1, Davenport 2, and Canyon is kind of they've been a lot more competitive the last couple years, so a little bit more chalk here with them as 3, and then yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna put Marble Falls in there as 4 to sneak in there.
So I'm going to go Davenport 1, Wimberley 2, just to be maybe a little bit different than Steve.
Mhm.
I'm going to go Fredericksburg 3, and because I'm on Team Coach Kano, I can't go for Canyon Lake. I'm going to go Marble Falls at 4 here, with Canyon Lake just missing out with Long Creek.
So I'm gonna throw a curveball here.
He's going Long Creek.
This reminds me of a district that had 3 teams that battled it out. They're gonna cancel each other. So I see a 3-way tie for first place between Wimberley, Davenport, and Canyon Lake.
Mhm.
I think they're gonna all of them are gonna split home and home, kind of like with the like Taft, O'Connor, and Brennan a couple years ago. And then your 4th place will probably be Fredericksburg.
I didn't know that
Okay.
was allowed, but Rafa's.
Hey,
If you pull that off, we'll be like, "Hey, why didn't you play the lotto?"
Canyon Lake is, they made it deep last year. They went to
Mhm.
the regional final against. I think I would not be surprised if they win the region this year, depending what Wimberley lost. But as far as district wise, I think all 3 are gonna. I think they're gonna kind of cancel each other. I think it's gonna be. I think you'll see a 1-1 record with each other, unless one can pull off a win at the other team's place. I think that we could see a 3-way tie for first this year.
What about Long Creek in the
I
girls'
I
side?
think there'll be a fifth. I think there'll be a 5th place. Though
yeah,
I think they'll miss out on the like because Fredericksburg's got a good team because I've seen them play, and I think Long Creek's probably maybe a year away to really even though they may end up that group of death, but I think they can compete. But I wouldn't be surprised if they sneak in as as a 4th. But I think there'll be a 5th place.
yeah. I agree with Rafa on that. New Braunfels, they've got a good community, soccer community, boys and girls, historically. I mean, for decades, really. And so I would not be surprised if they found a way into that 4th slot. But they're gonna shake things up. They're gonna have a little say so of how this district plays out.
So I'll go first on this one. Rafa, then Steve. 4A27. Finished Lavernia, Cole, Memorial, Gonzalez, Kennedy, Yoakum, Lowling, and Young Leadership. I think Lavernia still the class of the district here. I'm gonna go Memorial as 2, or actually no, I'm gonna go Gonzalez 2, Memorial 3, and then Cole. I do think they come back a little bit, but it was a tight division last year. I just think the numbers that they have, where they're half the size of the other schools, because depth is important, even at 4A level. I'm going to have them pull back to still 4th. But to me, Yoakum's kind of that team that kind of sneak on, and Lowling, I think you mentioned a young program as well, for that here. But I think to make that step up, I'm still going to go the top 4. little bit different order with Gonzalez finishing second as opposed to fourth.
Yeah, I'll go Lavernia 1. 2. I'm gonna go with the Lady Apaches. I think they had a good season last
This is the
year.
boys.
Those boys.
Boys. Oh,
Boys.
sorry, the boys. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'll go Gonzalez at 2. I think they've done well. They've been a very consistent team. Number 3, I'm gonna go with Memorial. Memorial's got, like I said, I've seen Memorial. They got a good squad. And then number 4, I'm gonna go with Cole. I think Kennedy might take a little step back. I think it's, for that 4th spot, it'll probably come down to Kennedy and Cole, but I think Cole might get. I think they'll sneak in and get that last spot.
Man, I did pretty good if Rafa's matching me.
Mm-hmm.
Steve?
So I'm gonna do Lavernia 1.
And Lavernia
And-
went deep, right? If memory serves
Yeah,
me
they
correct.
lost to Progress.
Yes.
So you know how that story ended.
So Lavernia, then I'm gonna go Memorial. I'm gonna go as 2. 3rd place, Cole, and then I've got the Kennedy Rockets 4th.
Ooh. And then for the ladies, Lavernia, Gonzalez, Lulling, Cole, Kennedy, Yoko Memorial, and Young Women's for that here. I'm going Lavernia, number 1 as well. I'm going to go Gonzalez, number 2, because Rafa already tipped his hands on there. I'm going to go Cole, 3 for the ladies. And I'm going to keep Lowling in there as number 4. But don't sleep on the Lady Rockets from Kennedy there.
Yeah, I'll go with Lavernia. This is basically the Lavernia Invitational right here.
Yeah.
Number 2, I'm gonna go with Gonzalez. 3 with Cole. But 4, I'm gonna go with the Lady Rockets.
Yeah, so Lavernia 1 for me. Let's do. I'm gonna do 2, Luling. 3, Gonzalez. And 4, Cole.
And then the last one on 5A, or pardon me, 4A, Rafa gets the lead. Floresville, Uvalde, Somerset, Hondo, Pleasanton, Poteet, and Pearsall, which I think you mentioned Pearsall's made some noise already, which is
7-0 loss.
new. But at least it's noise.
Yeah, that means they're playing. So they're playing.
Typically, they haven't made noise until district.
Yeah.
So it's a positive step.
Yeah, this is a little. I know this district for the boys. It's been tight in the past, but I'm still gonna give Floresville the edge. I'm gonna put them at 1. Valde at 2. 3 with Somerset, and I think this year Pleasanton gets in as the 4th spot.
Steve?
Yeah, Floresville 1. And just, I think I mentioned this last year. They've got a good youth program and soccer club over there, the Flowtown Kicks. And, just seen a lot of good stuff out of that town, coming out of that town. So, Floresville. And then let's do 2nd place. Let's see. You know what? Give me Pleasanton a 2nd. And then Uvalde 3. And then Somerset 4.
So I'm going to go a little bit different. I'm going to go Uvalde as 1, Floresville 2. Actually, no, I'm going to say 1 and 1. Well, no, does this division go points?
No, there's no there's no penalty kicks on that.
Okay. Because I know some of them do points, so it makes it a little bit hard to say you have the three ways. No, I'm going to go with Floresville, just pardon me, with Uvalde, because I do think Uvalde's going to step up this year. I'm going to go. I'm going to go Somerset, and I'm going to give some respect to the Hondo Owls and have them in the fourth with Pleasanton, right on their tails for that here. With that being one where for that here, but yeah, I'm going to keep the same four teams as last year for the boys, and then for the girls. It finished Pleasanton, Uvalde, Floresville, Somerset, Hondo, Poteet, and Pearsall last year. Rafa, you're first.
I think we end up getting co-district champs with Pleasanton and Uvalde. It's always been, it's kind of like a 2-horse race, but nipping on their, on them. That one could surprise will be Floresville. I think Floresville, they'll finish third, but they're going to be in contention. I think if they can knock off one of the top two, I think they have a chance. And then, we've been waiting for Hondo Lady Owls kind of to take that next step, and we thought last year maybe they would have, but I'm gonna go. I think they. I think Somerset and Hondo tie for that fourth spot, but Somerset sneak. Yeah, they'll sneak in. I'm gonna go with Somerset before.
Yeah, I'm going to do Pleasanton 1, Uvalde 2. Yeah, Floresville 3. And I'm gonna go chalk for Somerset. That's the way it finished last year.
Yeah, I think Pleasanton. I think they were the class of this one. If memory serves me right, where if they didn't go undefeated, they only had one loss or one draw. So I do think that they'll finish first. I'm going to go Floresville 2 because Uvalde did get off to a slow start last year. I'm going to give a little bit more credit to Floresville. I'm going to have Uvalde third. And I do this every year, but I'm going to go with Hondo as the fourth place team here. So along those lines here. One thing of note that we didn't really talk about here in the 4A, not a lot of movement outside of the Long Creek for that here in the SanAntonio area. Rafa, any thoughts on the reclassification surprises in the 4A or not really, just because it was already kind of baked in?
I think maybe we could see I guess depending on a couple of those 5As if they do drop down. I know like Fox Tech and Sam Houston, but more than likely they're probably up and to kind of stay within 5A. I think SASD once they're going to do that. The interesting one might be we'll talk about them, I guess, when we talk on 5A, because there's one 5A that could be dropping. That's going to be dropping down to 4A. And this might be an opportunity for them to kind of make some noise, come 2027. And also we're waiting to see maybe some new teams come up, pop up too. And like I said, I know Center Point had a team last year. They played a kind of independent schedule. Do they make that move, to varsity play starting next year? We'll see with we're still waiting to see some other maybe 3A programs, I've been hearing rumors possibly Crystal City, maybe Golazo have been looking into adding soccer programs, and those two teams could end up in like I said, in District 28. So we'll see what after the realignment, see what new teams could pop up for 4A.
Any thoughts, Steve, or we're going to move on to 5A?
Yeah, we're good to move on.
Okay.
On to Cincinnati, as Belichick would say.
So 5A, there is some movement here with the possible movement. There is movement with Piper going up to 6A. Kerrville Tivy does drop below that 1305 Do you anticipate them to go down or stay up?
No, they'll go down.
They'll go
No,
down.
they're not going to up because it's the only school in that town, high school in that town. So
Manziel High.
yeah, for them, I have a feeling once they go to 4A, I think that's the team to kind of keep an eye on.
Mhm.
For the boys' side, and there's really ever since Bernie kind of left, there hasn't really been that kind of this area, the kind of the one dominant team. I think, besides maybe Lavernia, I think this is a team that I know they had some tragedy a lot, this past year with losing their coach. I think this hopefully this season for them. We wish them the best. Hopefully they do something really do well here to kind of launch them for the for the following season. But like I said, even in this district, you can't take them for granted because they play well, and they're gonna make you earn if you're gonna make you earn a win. So Piper, going up to 6A, that's gonna be interesting.
Doesn't Wagner also go up to 6A?
Yeah, Wagner's also going to 6A too. So Wagner's going up to 6A, and I know Coach Kano could probably end up seeing Piper in 2027 in that district. I've seen some projections, and imagine this: Piper, Canyon, and Steele and Clemens.
Mm.
That's a heavy heavy district there.
San Marcos, maybe.
San
And
Marcos.
I've also seen some projections when Piper and Kerrville and Wagner moves out that you'll see Jay and a couple of the schools that are in the 27 filter over
Mhm.
into that into this district as well. So this is a district between 26, 27, and 28. It'll be interesting to see how it shapes out.
Well, Long Creek
Uh,
will be in that district next year, so
oh yeah, so Long Creek will be over here too. So Piper, I think swept it last year, right? I think they went
Mhm.
16-0. Yeah, 16, right? Yeah, 16-0. For that here, Steve, you went first last time. You want to do the honors again on 26, or do we want to have me start it?
Yeah, no, I can go. This is for boys. So
Yes.
in Rafa and I saw Piper Southwest in that was it the second round
the
or third
the
round?
third round game. Yeah.
Maybe a third round match last year, and I saw Piper play one of their final regular season games against Bernie, and um, man, they had a lot of talent. I mean, I think y'all remember I was pretty high on them,
Mm-hmm.
and they gave Southwest a pretty good game, and of course, we know Southwest got all the way to the state championship, but yeah, so give me Piper. I won't go too much into it, but yeah, give me Piper one, and yeah, Bernie's always going to be in the mix. Give me them as two. And I would not be surprised, though. That being said, I wouldn't be surprised if Bernie wins the district, right? And then three, I'm going to go. You can never really count out Alamo Heights. Um, I know they didn't make the playoffs last year, and it's rare that they are out of the playoffs. Two years in a row. So I'm going to have them as three, and then give me. We haven't seen Bernie champion in too much lately in the playoffs. They may have made it the year before, but I don't. They weren't there last year. But so give me Bernie champion as number four.
So I'm gonna go Piper. I'm gonna go Bernie. I'm gonna go Smithson Valley, and I'm gonna go with uh, dude, Alamo Heights or the Unicorns, man. I'll go with New Braunfels. So I'll kind of keep the same four, but dude, this team's what 6, 7 deep, depending on.
Yeah, the 7 deep.
Yeah, this is
Sorry,
like the
Vets
group of.
Memorial and Wagner.
This is definitely like a group of death, right? For or the district, right? Uh, yeah, it can go. I mean, it could go opposite, total opposite of what I picked. I wouldn't be surprised if, even if New Braunfels is, a top two or three.
Yeah. Rafa, you
I'm
going
gonna go
with
with
Piper?
yeah. I'll still go with Piper, but keep an eye on Bernie. Coach Strong, like I said, you know, wonderful job last year. That transition moving up from 5A, for 4A to 5A. They made a statement last year. Um, Number three, I think Spencer Valley is going to get the third spot. And the fourth spot, I think Alamo Heights bounces back. I think they disappointing season last year, but I think they bounce back. I think with New Braunfels, I think with the opening of Long Creek, that could probably affect them as far as how much depth that they lost. Depending also what they graduated. How much they losing some of those players going to Long Creek. So, but I think they'll still be a fight for that last spot with Bernie Champion. So, like I said, that fourth spot could be a fight for a three-man team. But I would also keep an eye on Kerrville Tivy too. So they're going to be a dangerous team.
And since we're on this district, Alamo Heights, they're still going to be having their tournament, right? Is
Mm-hmm.
it? I know
Yeah,
that the school is under construction as far as their athletic complex, right?
yeah,
But I remember we did get a chance to see them last year, and they just didn't have that number 9 striker up top. But they played well. So, like I said, they just never count them out.
And for the ladies, it finished Smithson Valley, Piper, New Braunfels, Bernie, Alamo Heights, Champion, Tivy, Betts, and Wagner.
Man, this is tough.
yeah. This is
It-
your real group of. This is a group of death for the
roll
girls.
roll the dice here. Um, I'm gonna go Smithson Valley one. Give me, oof, man. Yeah, let me get Piper 2, Bernie 3, and flip a coin for 4. No, I'll go. Give me the unicorns. Oof, man, but man, the heights is always there too. But yeah, we'll go with that.
So I'm going to go Piper 1. I'm going to go Bernie 2, Smithson Valley 3, and then I'm going to go Heights as 4. So I'm going to mix it up a little bit from what happened last year. But this is all, to me. This is one where if it's a point, you have points. I think these top 5, 6 will all finish within 1 or 2 games of each other, depending on draws and stuff.
Yeah, the
Rafa?
key. I think the key to this is like if you can steal points on your away games,
Road,
especially
yeah.
on the road, getting a win or getting a tie. Um, I'm still gonna go with Smithson Valley. I think they're still up there, but it's gonna be a close one between them and Piper. Piper's will be my 2. 3, I'm gonna go with Bernie, and number 4, I think they bounced back this year. I'm gonna go with Alamo Heights.
See,
Yeah,
I used the you guys. I used the new school in New Braunfels, is why I'm
Mm-hmm.
sticking with unicorns on this one.
With Bernie Champion, like I said, they got talent there. It's like they have the last couple of years they haven't been able to really. I don't know. But I think there could be they could be that sleeper team that maybe could sneak in and get that 4th spot. But like I said, right now I think Alamo Heights will. I think last year was a little down year, but I think they'll be back this year.
and the unique thing about that district is, you've got home stadiums for a lot of those schools. They're not playing like at a central location like a Blossom, a Gus, a Ferris,
Ferris.
so or SAISD for that matter. They've got home games. Not too much of a drive around town, but yeah, they all have their home stadiums that they play at for the most part.
So I know Rafa's already touched base on this here, but this and 27 number wise, Fox, Texans, Sam Houston, and if you look at their recent record wise, I personally think that they should drop down to 4A 27 because you do have when I talked with you, Rafa, what there's 4 teams: Cole, Memorial, Kennedy, and Floresville.
Orzo and Lavernia. Well,
And
if it could
Lavernia.
end up Lavernia too. So, but I know in the past, like I said, Fox Tech used to play against I think Gonzalez.
But I know you mentioned the reason why they didn't do it the last time was due to travel, especially for Sam Houston, because I don't think Fox Tech was below the number. Well, actually, they would have been below the number the last time, but they're even less numbers now along those lines. So, to me, if I was SAISD, I would drop them down just because I think it puts the kids and the student athletes more at programs at their level, or they may be at the top of the food chain as opposed to at this point here the bottom of the food chain for it here. But your thoughts, Rafa? Or here I'll do actually I start first on this one here, so I'll do my picks and then I'll have you kind of pick up on that. Lanier, Burbank, Edison, Jefferson, Brack, Highlands, Fox Tech, Seguin, Sam Houston. This one to me always seems like it's kind of the wild card for there here because you just don't know what you're going to get. I'm going to go with Edison number 1, Lanier 2, Jeff 3, and I'm going to go with Brack as 4 as far as my 4 playoff teams.
I'm gonna go with Burbank 1. They had a really good season last year. I think they built. I think they get the title this year. I think Lanier take a little step back, but I think they see him at 2. Edison's very always consistent every year in year out, so I'll put them at 3. The 4th spot I think is going to come down to I think those 3 teams. Keep an eye on that Highlands team. I think they may make some noise. They may surprise some people. Jeff, Steve's alma mater.
They're never consistent for you.
Yeah, I mean, they've had some good teams in the past. I know, but last year I think they kind of took a little step back. They made the playoffs. I keep an eye on Brackenridge. I'm going to put Brackenridge as 4, but you could see a 3, maybe a 3-team tie for 4th spot. But like I said, I think they do have penalty kicks. I believe in
the
this
points on this one.
Yeah,
they do
on this one. So it can come down to who wins a penalty kick shootout when they play against each other. So, but I'm gonna give Brackenridge the 4th spot.
Yeah, the goalkeeper kind of really comes into play here for this district. If you got a solid keeper. Okay, so I'm gonna go Lanier 1. I'm gonna say they keep it rolling because technically the last 2 years it's been Lanier because if you go back to the year before, Alamo Heights and MacArthur were in that district back then, and they were 1 and 2, and Lanier was 3. So so I'm gonna go Lanier 1. Let's see if my Mustangs can get their stuff in order. So I'm gonna go 2 there. I'm gonna go 3, our dreaded rival, Edison. They've always got a good team, and I'll go 4 Burbank, but yeah, like Brackenridge and Highlands is going to have something to say. Like Rafa mentioned, I think Highlands had 17 points last year. I think Lanier had 40, Edison 37, Burbank 36, Jefferson 27, and Brackenridge 23. But Highlands, for a few years, that they were just 0 wins or 1 win or 2 wins. So they made some big strides last year with 5 wins, and so that that hopefully they can keep climbing up that ladder and maybe get in the mix for third, fourth place. But yeah, those will be my four for this district on the boys' side.
And then for the ladies, looks like it was Jefferson, Highlands, Seguin, Edison, Burbank, and Brack, and then Fox Tech, Sam Houston. I'm going to go with Highlands, Jefferson. I'm going to go Edison, and then I'm going to go Burbank for here. I think Seguin just misses out, but to me, it's roll of the dice on this one as far as my knowledge of this district. I've seen a couple of them play, like we saw Seguin, I think in the north side, right? Tournament last year.
Yeah.
And they did all right a couple of games, but so I think that's how I'm going to go with Highlands, Jeff, and Edison, and Burbank.
I think I'm gonna go with Jeff. I think they're still, that like I said, they've kind of had a little stranglehold on his district. Number two would be Edison. I think it's going to be those two teams. I think those two teams. I know in the past they've had some pretty. I've seen a couple of their games. It's always a battle between those two.
Yeah.
And on the girl side, because they really they play some great games. So I'm gonna put them at 2. 3, I'm gonna go with Seguin. I think they can still consistently play. I think they'll be all right. And number 4, I think Highlands will take a little step back, but I think they'll get the 4th spot.
So I'm assuming you're going Mustangs there, Steve?
Absolutely. Thomas Jefferson. So yeah, 1 will be Jeff. 2 will be our rival, Edison, Ediscum, as we used to call them back in the day. Let's see here. I'm going to go 3 Seguin and then 4 Highlands. There's a pretty drastic gap between 4th and 5th last year, so I'm going to kind of continue or keep it the way it's kind of similar to where it was. Those top 4 teams, I think that they're gonna, after playing all their district matches, I think it'll shape up a little bit similar.
So 28, departing will be Southwest and Legacy, based on the numbers. Rafa, you're first. Order: Southwest, MacArthur, Legacy, Harlandale, Jay, Southside, Wynn, McCollum, and South San. Sorry, Matt.
Yeah, I'll go with Southwest. Like I said, we'll sure have no issues winning the district title. They had that little setback, but that was in PK. So, like I said, number 2, I think it's going to be Legacy. I think Legacy will get the runner-up. Number 3, I'm gonna give it to MacArthur, and number 4, I'm gonna give it to Jay. They didn't play well today, but like I said, I saw some. But I saw some. Like I said, watching that first game, against Brennan, good offense. High octane. Can they kind of fix a little bit? This is so early on. Like defense. That's the thing. Defense does win championships unless you're going to be a high scoring team. So, but I'm going to give them the 4th spot. But I think it can come down to like the Jay and Harlandale, that last spot. Also, kind of keep an eye on Southside. They could surprise some teams.
Steve?
Yeah, I'm going to go Southwest 1. I'll do MacArthur 2. And I'm gonna go with Legacy 3, so a little bit of chalk there, and then I know a player from John Jay, impact player for John Jay that can make a big difference on matches, and plays solid on offense and good defense as well. So I'm gonna give Jay the fourth slot there in District 28.
So I'm a homer. I will be going J, but not first. I'll give the respect to Southwest and Chief. However, I do think J finishes second for that here. I think they have the potential to hang with Southwest. Especially, I think Southwest lost a lot last year as far as seniors. I know they program that just kind of they don't
Reloads.
rebuild, they reload. Um, I think, but Jay is very senior laden for it, and I know Coach Poor is working with them and working with that. But I think offensively, I think that they can hang with anybody. It's the defense, not necessarily the goalkeeper. For that, I think goalkeeping solid. It's just the back line trying. That's the part that they got to work out for that here. So, but I think through there, I'm gonna go Harlandale 3 because I thought they were a pretty feisty team last year, and then I'm gonna go Legacy 4. I'm gonna have MacArthur drop down out, but I do think the top 6 on this are all gonna be very close. I don't think Southwest runs away with this division or this district like they have the last few years. I think they'll be in a little bit more competitive games for that here. Um, the question is can the bottom, with Wynn, McCollum, and South San, to me, if you drop points to those teams, because this is one that does do the PKs.
McKay's.
So if you do drop points to those, those two teams, and I'll give respect to Southside because they were a solid team last year. But if you're dropping points to the bottom 3, like I said here, that's I think where you could have that difference. But for Jay, this is going to be kind of like the Jay girls were last year. It was one of those, hey, can they step up and actually do it? And they did. For the Jay boys, the Mustangs, this is the year for them because I think they got 12, 13, 14 seniors on there. So and they returned most of their firepower from last year, which they were a very high scoring team. They just got to stay focused on defense and discipline, and especially in this district where cards fly a little bit. I know there was a few games that had red cards, so and I know that happens in others, but in this one here, because they do play away at local schools, with with the
Mine is
exception of Gus,
Harlandale
Harlandale, and Jay, and you can kind of throw Jay with Gus and stuff
and
like
Mac.
that. But yeah, so but like going to Southwest, going to South San, going to Harlan. Well, Harlandale's at their stadium, but yeah, McCollum has to play there. But Southside's at their home stadium. But for me, along those lines. And for the ladies, good thing we're not doing the JV side. For the but let's see here. So last year, John Jay, Southwest, McCollum, MacArthur, Legacy, Harlandale, Southside, and South San, and Win. For that here, I think you're first on this one here, Rafa. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I'll go first. So we've seen Jay play already for the girls' side. And I know one of the players, like I said, was missing.
Yeah,
But
Reeves girl.
the one thing is, do they have enough as far as an attack to score goals? I think they're defensive wise, they look okay. And I
They're
think
the
that
opposite of the boys, right?
yeah, yeah, and also remember they lost their keeper too.
Yes,
But the one that played we saw, I think
solid.
was solid too. So but I'm gonna go with Southwest girls. I think because of they have a strong JV squads. I think that's going to help them. I think get that first place spot. Uh, Number two, I'm gonna go with Coach Connell's former team. I think MacArthur's gonna. I think they end up finishing second. Um, Three, I'm gonna go with McCollum. I know they lost their top scorer. Um, I think they still have. They're still well coached. But I think losing someone that scores all the goals is gonna be. It's gonna someone's gonna have to pick up the slack too. So they're gonna also prove themselves as well too. So I'll put them at three. Um, for a while, Legacy was kind of in there, and then they kind of fell apart. But I'm gonna go with Jay at getting the fourth spot. I think it'll come down to them and Legacy, but I think Jay gets that last spot. But also keep an eye on Harlandale and also Southside too. They could be tough too. I know they play tough at home, so. But I'm gonna give the edge to Jay for that fourth spot.
Steve?
Did Jay lose a top goal scorer? Or?
Their top two players.
Top two.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, so I'll go. I'm gonna go Southwest 1. I'm gonna go McCullum 2. I really liked the way McCullum played last year. I got to see them when I went to go watch one of Coach Cano's games against. So they played McCullum that night, and they had a couple girls on the team that when the ball came into them, they had really good touch on the ball. It wasn't just kickball. So I'm going to go McCullum 2. I'm going to go, and they gave MacArthur a really tough match that game. So I'm going to go MacArthur 3, and I'll go J 4.
So I'm gonna go Southwest 1. I'm gonna go MacArthur 2 because I think Coach Cano did have them heading in the right direction. I'm going to go Legacy 3 because last year they were a solid team and then they folded late. I think they do hang on. And then I'm going to go McCollum number 4. I think Jay misses out. And like I said here, Canyon with Coach Cano, just the depth and the talent is just I worry about for the J ladies, and to me, the speed up top. Like, I think defensively they can hang, but when and Rafa can,
PK wise, that's the thing with them. They're gonna have an advantage of that. So penalty kick wise, if they have, if they some of these games that they say 1-1 or 2-2 and they go to PKs, I think they have some. What surprised me is that they had some pretty good penalty kick shooters, and the keeper was solid too because she made some solid saves as well. So and like I said, I think this came into a factor. I know Coach Cano mentioned to me last year. There was a couple points away from them moving up because they lost out on the shootout, so forth. So, like I said, Jay, that's why I have Jay at 4. I think they have enough.
Depth, to
the
me,
depth
it's
is going to hurt them.
It's the depth. It's the depth, and it's the depth and I know it's the depth and the lack of speed up top. I think defensively, I think from the final third or the back third, they're going to be solid, maybe even above average. That could hang in there. And I know it was one scrimmage, but it is what we saw, or it is what I saw. And like I said here, I do think Legacy underperformed at the end of the season compared to how they started.
But they lost their top player, the one that does that made all those free kick goals. So we'll see what they have. How did they replace her? Because when I saw them play, they really depended on her a lot. And losing her from graduation, who takes that next, who kind of takes that next step up because they were playing a lot of long ball, kind of a lot of the Morcino ball. So, and you have run into a good defense that can stop that. That's good. That can come into play.
Question for you: does Southwest run away with this district this year?
They'll be challenged, but I think, like I said, I think comfort. There's no gimmies on that because they can't take some of these teams lightly. And
Right.
but I think comfortably, I think they'll win the district. But like I said, they can't just fall asleep on some of these teams, especially like a team like MacArthur that's technically sound. Um, same thing with like I said, Jay still got a stingy defense, and if your forwards can't beat or are not allowed to, getting frustrated about scoring goals and all that, and you end up losing penalty kicks. I mean that could happen. So like I said, they'll win, but they'll still be challenged for some of those games.
So moving to 6A, and then Steve goes first. 27. Brandeis, Reagan, Johnson, Madison, Lee missed the playoffs. Churchill, Clark, and Roosevelt. And just kind of food for thought here. At least in the San Antonio area, there is no changes as far as teams dropping down like we thought possibly was going to happen. But when the numbers came in, they did not. So, Steve, what says you about 27 for 6A?
Yeah, another group of death here. Yeah, as always, this group is always shakes up each and every year. I'm definitely going to have some changes compared to uh, what we're seeing here. That being said, so I'm going to go Reagan 1. I'm going to go Johnson 2. I'm going to go Lee 3. And I'm torn between Brandeis and Churchill. I think Madison lost some seniors last year.
That's what I've heard.
And so yeah, give me Brandeis 4.
I am also going to go Reagan. I think they'll be one of the top teams in the area. I'm going to go Lee on a rebound with Johnson, either tied or right with them. I do think Reagan clears this district by 3 points at least. For that here is for that here. And then I'm going to go with Brandeis because I'm a Broncos fan, and you can't go wrong against the Broncos.
Hey, they're the number 1 team in the NFL right now.
Rafa, what says you on the 27 boys?
So there's a
Rafa's
rumor
pull
going
out a
around.
rabbit out of the house.
There's a rumor going around about, I'm not going to say which team, that this team may have lost 7 starters that quit the team. And
We're
that's
not
really
Central Catholic.
no. I don't think we're talking taps. And from my source, speaking with this person, and this could be a big kind of game changer on this. So it's kind of wait and see if it's true. We'll find out. But as far as my pick, as far as district wise, I'm gonna go with Reagan. I think that they finished strong last year, even though they had the little heartbreaker in the playoffs. We'll see how deep they can go. Like I said, that second round game is the one that's kind of been the nuisance for our teams against the Austin area. Number 2, I'm gonna go with Brandeis. Number 3, I'm gonna go with Lee. Number 4, I'm gonna go with Johnson. Now, the one dark horse it will be Churchill because they got a dynamite goal scorer. If they can piece it together and they can get some good wins, they could be that one sporter that sneaks into that 4th spot.
And I think he's a junior this year. So
he's a junior.
Yeah. And I've seen him play, and phenomenal player.
Yeah,
even as
Darwin.
Yep. Even as a when I saw him as a freshman, I mean, right away I was like, I think I texted the group, you guys, and let y'all know, wow, this kid is something else. So Definitely go check out Churchill play, and yeah, you'll be impressed with the. I want to say it was number 7. He may have changed his number, but
I was
yeah,
gonna ask.
you'll know who it is when you once you go watch them.
I was gonna ask you, Rafa,
Hmm.
if the undisclosed school was the same school that had issues with was it vaping from a couple
Uh,
years ago?
I don't know about that one. Um, I'm gonna,
Well, wasn't
like I
it
said,
Brand? I think it
Did,
was Brandeis that had
that was a
the.
couple years ago.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did the school? The little question for Rafa. Did the school? Did that affect your picks with your rumor?
Um, if if it's true, then I would kind of make it some switches, but
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
just gonna kind of leave it as that. Like I said, it was from someone. Like I said, it was a source that told me that this is a possibility. There's some issues, and hopefully there isn't. Like I said, we want the kids to play and all that, and
Yeah.
hopefully it gets resolved and so forth. And but if this is true, this could affect a lot of the kind of who could as far as kind of the makeup as far as the district wise. But like I said, Reagan's the clear cut favorite on this district. But um, like I
What
said,
about Clark? Clark,
the it's funny the Clark. I mean, there's been some talent there. Like I said, when I
because they've
coached,
had some sneaky results.
I used to be in Clark. We used to be in Clark's district, and they were one of the top notch teams. Even though one time we did kind of hammered them pretty bad at our home stadium, and I know we beat them in a thriller. One of my players scored like a 65-yard free kick. Probably one of the best goals I've seen. I don't know. I know they had some issues with a previous coach a few years ago, and I think Steve, we went to go see them play one time, and
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
saw the talent was there. It just didn't have the direction, and I'm hoping whoever's coaching them now, um, hopefully, they could be one of those teams that if they can kind of get it together, and they could. I know have had given some other teams issues, and they've had some couple upsets in the past. So I'm hoping, like I said, maybe this year, maybe there could be like that dark horse, like Churchill. Like I said, with this district, you cannot sleep on anybody because they can come back and bite you if you're
Yeah.
off.
Yeah. Yeah. 1 through 7, for the most part. Sorry, Roosevelt, but 1 through 7 for the most part is you're gonna have a tough match. But that going back to what we were talking about for Clark, um, they didn't have a lot of depth though. You would see them competitive in the game, sometimes even having more of an attack than the other team on the boys side, and after about 20, 30 minutes, it would kind of taper off once the subs started coming in and the starters started getting tired. And they lost a lot of games, 3-2, 2-1, very close matches. So, and then the first match that I did go see this year was a JV match on Monday this week, Sotomayor versus Clark. And Sotomayor was definitely uh, the front runner on that game. They were playing on the front foot, and they just looked really good compared to Clark. So I don't know if Clark just maybe doesn't have a lot of the, like I said, the depth, to pull from their JV squad or from their bench or wherever it is. But they do have talent, like in their starting 11. They're there. But it's just a matter of who can who can come off the bench and make a difference, and or not have a drop off compared to your starting 11.
So 27 for the ladies: Johnson, Reagan, Lee, Brandeis, Clark, Madison, Churchill, and Roosevelt. And if memory serves me right, Clark, I think Madison, Clark, Brandeis, and Lee were all
Yeah,
Log
within
yeah,
the
Lumpton.
points
Yeah, this is
together.
like a 6 team race. I mean, this is a brutal district too. I mean, I
hmm
know we talk about 26 5A. This is kind of the same. mirror image, put one division up.
Yeah, this one's been like that for decades, though.
Mhm.
You know, it was the original, Northeast ISD district that every match was just a grudge match back in the old Blossom days. Um, but yeah,
So
who's
how you
taking the
going,
lead on
Steve?
this one? Okay, so for the girls, I'm gonna go Johnson 1. I'm gonna go Reagan 2. I'm gonna go Clark 3 and Lee 4.
I'm gonna go Reagan, not as 21, but as 1. Go Brandeis, Johnson, and Lee as far as the top 4. So I think the same 4 make it, but flip of a coin, whether it's Clark or Madison, that sneaks in to there. But I think between 1 through 6 is separate to me is separated by 6 points or less. For that here, I think this will go down to the final 2 weeks to determine all 4 playoff spots.
Actually, for Harry, for mine, I'm gonna make a quick change if you can.
Go ahead.
Uh, Go ahead and give me Brandeis is 3, Clark is 4.
So you kicked out Lee.
I did.
Well, the one thing is Lee has a new coach, and like I said, Lee's coach went out to Piper. So how does that affect them? You know, whoever they brought in. And like I said, Brandeis was a team last year. They were kind of getting a little hot streak. They had a couple of big wins, and they kind of little faltered towards the end. But I'm gonna go with, I think, Johnson. I know it's gonna be a race between Johnson and Reagan, but I'm gonna give the edge to Johnson. But Reagan, I think, is gonna be nipping on their heels. I can see maybe them splitting the district title, but it'll be close. Number 3, I'm gonna go with Brandeis, and then number 4, I'm actually gonna go with Clark.
How close is Madison? I know nobody picked them, but how close is Madison?
I
I
think
think
they lost. I think they lost some players as well on the girl side that they did the boys, but no, I mean Madison's definitely in the mix. I think it's 1 through 6 here. That's going to be kind of in the mix. I don't see Churchill,
Or Roosevelt?
yeah,
Yeah.
or Roosevelt. Between the two of them, I think they had around 3 points total
Mhm.
last season. So I don't see them making, whereas Madison had 14 points, and they finished 6. So there's the gap there is between 6 and 7.
So moving to 28, Warren, Brennan, Harlan, O'Connor, Marshall, Soto, Stevens, Taft, which underperformed last year, Holmes. And Holmes was one of those, even though they finished last, I think that they were better than what their record showed for that here. Um, I'm going to go Harlan 1, O'Connor 2, Warren 3, or no, it was Marshall that was the sneaky team. And
They came
I'm
out of
gonna
nowhere
go.
last year.
I'm gonna go Marshall 4. But to me, the interesting team is Taft because they had some talent. Club wise is why they didn't play. If some of those players come back, it could make it. And they had injuries too, if memory serves me
Mm-hmm.
right last year.
Yeah.
That they just got destroyed by injuries. Um, to me they're that sneaky team that I don't know how they fit in. I don't give much consideration to Stevens or Holmes. Sotomayor, I've heard kind of mixed results on them here. But like I said here, I think Warren takes a small step back. Um, and like I said here, just like I said here, between Brennan, Marshall, Soto, and Taft. I think just this district for 28. Usually, there's one clear team that gets that early dominance throughout, from there. But the final two spots that make the playoffs is always who wins on the last week. It seems like. Rafa.
So I'm gonna go back with Harlan one. Like I said, they have been the dominant team up to last year. I think they bounced back. They'll give it the district title. Um, Number two, I'm gonna give O'Connor. Like I said, they had that big win over Brandeis in the playoffs. Coach Bledsoe's done a great job with them. I think they're up for a
The,
breakout season,
the
another
only
breakout
team
season.
in 28 to beat a 2017, if
Mm-hmm.
memory serves me right as well.
Three will be Warren. I think they still have. I know they lost because had a great season for them last year. I know they lost some good players, but I think they're still well coached. Um, Number four, I'm gonna give it to Brennan because what I saw last week, they got some speedy forwards and they got a good 1-2 punch up top, and I think that's defensive wise, I think they're okay. They're okay, but if they have to score a bunch of goals, I think they have the speed. I think they have a couple number nines that can really do some damage up top, and I think they're gonna. I know they're young, this year, but I think they're. And I think we spoke to a parent. I know that he's mentioned that they were kind of young this year, but
Mm-hmm.
I think they have enough to get that fourth spot. I think it'll be between them and Marshall.
Steve.
Yeah, so a little biased here just due to the fact that I coached a lot of the boys at Warren, and a lot of them are returning.
Mm-hmm.
I know they did lose their goalkeeper, but that being said, the goalkeeper that's coming in, played for us as a field player, but just has really good awareness and very good hands. So I'm gonna place. I'm gonna give Warren the district title again, and then I'm gonna go Harlan two. I'm gonna go O'Connor three, and like Harry said, they were the only team that did advance over into the second round last year. So I think they got a lot to say when it comes to this district as well. Um, and four is gonna be Brennan, but watch out for Marshall. They definitely have some players, and I would not be surprised if they could even make a run up into the second or third spot this year. So definitely keep an eye on Marshall and Sotomayor. They're climbing that chart, the standings each and every year. They're getting a little bit closer, and I did coach their goalkeeper, and yeah, I mean he might be the tallest goalkeeper in this
Maybe,
whole
yeah.
district. I want to say he's like 6'4", 6'5" already, and probably maybe even still growing. Who knows? But a solid goalkeeper in Colby, and watch out for Sotomayor too. But the interesting one is going to be Taft. Taft is going to have something to say in this district. They've had not the best run of luck over the last 2 or 3 years, as far as injuries are concerned, as far as MLS Next and such. So, don't count them out. I think this is going to be a district that can go um, between 6 and 7 deep as far as teams or schools, I should say, that can make a run for the top four slots.
To me, this division is fairly equal. There's not. I don't know if they have the top heavy of like 27. The pedigree, but I think as far as for 28, like I think it's probably one of the most even districts around it. And even talking Stevens and Holmes, um, if you don't show up, they can beat you as well here. So moving to 28 for the ladies: Taft, Warren, O'Connor, Sotomayor, Brennan, Harlan, Marshall, Stevens, Holmes. I think the big loss is what the best goalkeeper that I've seen on the women's side in recent history for here, leaving Taft. And what she was a 4-year starter, right?
Yep.
For the here, so for Taft, you got to wonder what the depth is like behind, at the goalkeeper. Warren, O'Connor, Sotomayor, Brennan. So I'm gonna go O'Connor because we did kind of see them against what was it, Austin
Anderson, which
Anderson.
is they're a really good team from region for 5A Region 3.
And I think what we notice is top 11, they can hang in there. The depth wise, I think that's where it could show up against some of the elite teams. And I know tonight they're playing the Fighting Conos and Canyon. I haven't heard of any result from
Yeah,
those
they played
yet.
last night.
Or they played last night?
Or
Did you hear
Tuesday
result?
night. No, but I know it was a good game.
So they played. So I'm going to go O'Connor. I'm going to go Warren as number 2. I'm going to go Soto 3. And I'm going to go old school Harlan for them to kind of step back up for that here along those lines here. So I think Taft just misses out, but I think Harlan, I'm going to see if the Lady Hawks can take that next step back up. Rafa?
So I'm gonna go with O'Connor. I think they'll, like I said, they played a really good team in Austin Anderson. They went toe to toe with them, and they had a lead. And then I know they made their changes for the end. I guess it's just a scrimmage, and you're just trying to see what you have. But I think they're, hopefully, like I said, if they can stay healthy, they'll be fine. If it gets into the part where they have some injuries, towards the back end, like I said, they did show some inexperience, and I think those are probably the players that probably played JV last year that kind of got moved up. They were kind of getting used to. I'm sure they'll be ready to go by the time district starts.
And
so I'll give them
some
a couple players.
Yeah,
They were missing. Yeah, they were missing a couple players too because of I think ECNL showcase or something. So I'll give them 1. I think Warren will be at 2. They have a good squad. They're great midfield. So 3, I'm gonna go with Soto. And then 4, I think this team bounces back. It'll be Brennan. I think they bounce back. I know they have a new coach. I think they're gonna bounce back. I think they're always a talented squad. I think last year was just kind of a little rebuilding year, a little young, but I think they'll be back.
Steve?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Warren as number 1. I think that they're gonna be the cream of the crop for the district, and but I think O'Connor is going to give them a run for their money as well. So I'm curious to see go watch O'Connor play. And I recently had my brother move back to town, and his kids that's where they go to school. So I know my niece is she's a soccer fan. She's a Real Madrid fan, so Rafa would like that, but. So I always got to give her. I know, trying to get her on the Arsenal bandwagon, but it's not working. The harder I push, it's like no, like get away, Arsenal.
It's not
No,
like
Real
Arsenal's
Madrid.
really stepping up right now either. So
Yeah, no, they. Yeah,
Is that meme I sent you guys yesterday?
yeah. Yeah. So, but anyways, yeah. So O'Connor, I'm curious to go out and watch some of their matches. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Taft 3. They've got some good sophomores that are moving up, some freshmen that just came in. Like Jordan Matthews, her younger sister, she's going to be playing for Taft. She's on the defensive side though, from what I recall, more than the offensive side, like Jordan. But they still got some talent there with Coach Davis, his daughter. I think she's a senior now.
yeah.
Yep.
So, but yeah. So I'm gonna stick with Taft to get the 3rd slot, and then I'm gonna go Brennan as number 4.
Alrighty, and then oh shit, didn't do this one here. Gotta add Steve here real quick. 29 was Steele, Johnson, Clemens, San Marcos, Canyon, East Central, and Judson finished surprisingly in last place last year. If I remember right, Rafa had picked them to
Get number 4 because they had a
yeah.
I think injuries took a toll on them. So I guess I'll go first. Always, I also want to go with Steel. I think they're still the team to beat. Number 2, I think I'm gonna go with Clemens. I think
They had a slow start last year,
Yeah.
but they turned it on.
But but the one thing with this, they play a very top heavy, they don't shy away from playing. They don't
Yeah.
play a bunch of cream puffs. They go out and play some teams that they know.
Non-district.
Yeah. So they don't. So that gets them prepared for district play. Number 3, I'm gonna go with San Marcos. That's a team on the rise. I know last year they lost in the playoffs to my alma mater, which I think San Marcos should have won that game. But they lost some PKs. And then number 4, I think the Canyon Cougars. I think they sneak in and get that 4th spot to take it away from the Johnson Jaguars.
Ooh. Steve?
Yeah, I don't know if y'all heard, but my cat just came in and was yelling for Jaguars and Cougars. So, but no, for me, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Clemens 1, and just some news on Clemens. SAFC signed Mikey Maldonado, who's I think he graduated from there about 4 or 5 years ago, and so he'll be. I think he plays like the 6, like a defensive mid. So that would he'll be great paired up with Hernandez there in the midfield.
Does he have eligibility left for Clemens?
Possibly. No. So let's go Steel 2. I still like what San Marcos, what they have coming in. They've got some really good some players, some solid players that play really fast and very technical. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna have them as 3, and then I'm gonna go Buda, Johnson, Jaguars as 4. So I got one of the cats in. Sorry, Ruby, my cat. she walked out now, but
You pissed her off. I'm gonna go with Steel.
she wants me to scratch her, and yeah, it's not gonna happen right now.
So I'm gonna go Steel, San Marcos, Clemens, and I want to say East Central, but I'm gonna go with Canyon just because I do think the Fighting Canos, his coaching moves over to the BT or to the men's side as well to improve that program.
He's that good.
Playoff spot. He's that good.
He's that good.
So it's all about synergy.
Yeah.
Speaking of Coach Cano and the Fighting Cougarettes, District 29, he's got tough shoes to fill in because they did finish first. Steele, Buda Johnson, the Lady Rattlers, Clemens missed out, Judson, and East Central along those lines for that here. And Rafa, you are first on this one.
So I'm gonna go with Canyon. Like I said, they'll be a 1. We got to see them play. Great team. I think they have a lot. Like I said, I think now with Coach Cano on the helm, like I said, that you can see that team's really kind of buying into his system. Kind of like the same magic he did at Mac. He's doing the same here. But I know he mentioned to me after the game because he gave me a call. I was missing a couple of players, so that should be good there. Number
Where was
two,
my call, Coach Kano? And I put the bullseye on you. Yeah, I'm giving you all this love and no calls, man.
Number two, I'm gonna go with Steel. Steel's always got a great program, and that they're gonna that's gonna be a very good game when they play each other. Like I said, keep an eye on them. Number three, I'm gonna go with Clemens, and here's the reason why. Clemens, I saw them last year. They're a very young team last year, and I saw them play against the Lady Rattlers from Reagan. I know they took a little pounding on them, but I did see the talent was there. Is like I said, what hurt them is they didn't have the inexperience. I think when you're under their belt, I think they're gonna they'll bounce back. And then number four, I'm gonna go with Buda Johnson.
Steve?
So Coach Kano has nowhere to go but down, right? No pressure. Let's see if we can keep them on top. Yeah, I'm gonna have them as one. I'm gonna go Steele 2, Johnson 3, and then I'll go Clemens 4.
Well, I got Coach Kano winning it all. Not only this district, but with
State.
He's gonna
dude, state or bust, dude. Come on,
some district championship shirts.
Birkelbach or bust.
Just,
Hashtag.
but he's got a tough schedule. Like I saw his non-district schedule. He's got Timber Creek.
And that's what you want to do, though.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You got to play those teams, and those are the teams you can. Those go 3-4 deep. Because I mentioned Canyon went 3 deep last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with that schedule, I think it's preparing them to win that third game to get to that. To get to that regional final.
Yeah, your record does not matter in late March and early April. So as much experience as you can get in this early part of the season and kind of seeing what you have, that's going to pay dividends in the long run.
But I'm going to go basically Canyon, Steele, Johnson, and San Marcos. I'm going to be the oddball that keeps Clemens out and puts San Marcos in for that here. And I do think Buda Johnson does slide down 1, so I don't think the top 2 change. But I think the 3 and 4 spots split, which if you look at it, doesn't really change anything when it comes to the playoffs for that here. And then the wild card district, this is the Rafa district, Del Rio, Eagle Pass, the Laredo schools, and then Medina Valley for that here. Did we want to just talk about it, or did you want to do?
I can go for. I can even rank them up. I think what happened last year, Alexander United were the favorites, but injuries really took a toll on them. And this year, I think they'll bounce back. They're playing from schedules I've seen, they're playing some really. I think they were up here last week. I think played at Harlan for some scrimmages against Lee. Yeah, so they're in the mindset that say, hey, we're out here. We have to play some of these elite teams, get preparation, so forth, because they do go south as far as when it comes to the playoff. Well, go south to the playoffs. Minus, like I said, with playing with Clemens and so forth. So I think this year, United goes back to first. I think Alexander goes 2. My former alma mater, like I said, I think they go 3. And then I know Eagle Pass is on the way up. I know they're improving. They're getting better. I think they take us maybe a step back. I'm going to go with LBJ because, like I said, very talent. There's a lot of talent at LBJ. Can they get it together? That's the thing is, can they get it together as a team? So I'm going to put them as a 4th spot. But I think it'll come down between them and Eagle Pass at that 4th spot.
Steve, you have any thoughts?
Yeah, let me do Alexander 1, Del Rio 2. And then United 3, and then Eagle Pass 4.
So I have no clue. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go as they did last year, just because it looks nice here. Eagle Pass, um, and just to be a little bit different. Medina Valley. Any
Yeah,
shot to move into the top four? You think?
absolutely. Yeah, especially with I've seen them the last couple of years. I like going. I don't live too far from them. Probably about 20 minutes, 20
Mhm.
maybe 25 with a little bit of traffic from there. So I like taking a little excursion and going to Castroville. Um, Great pizza place over there, by the way. If
Whoa!
you're ever
Hold
in,
on.
I
Your
I know.
barbecue.
Yeah.
How can you? You're throwing me off with this pizza stuff now.
well, the thing is that the pizza joint is right in the backyard of Castroville Barbecue, and they actually have a brisket pizza that they get the brisket from Brisket Barbecue Company
Oh,
next
nice.
door, and it's a brick oven, one of those like Neapolitan kind of brick oven
Mhm.
pizzas where they use the wood, and they source the wood from the same place that the Castroville Barbecue gets their wood from. So um, the dough station, that's what it's called, the pizza place. It used to be an old gas station, so it looks like an Exxon logo, but instead of the X's, they put Z's. So
Oh, nice.
Pizza, yeah. So the dough station, but no, Medina Valley. They've got a really good squad. So I saw them, I think, a couple times last year. I know I saw them early in the season against Brandeis, and they got some. They were just outclassed by Brandeis. Brandeis was solid last year, and but Medina Valley was, they have some good players on that squad, and they're coached very well.
Spain.
Also, hmm yeah,
Because this is the last year before they split, right? Because
Yeah.
next year they split to
So
Creekview.
5 A's. Yeah.
Right. Well, a 5A and a 4A. Yeah.
so
Mhm.
Creekview's not playing this year, right?
No,
So not
No.
until next year. Okay.
until
Yeah.
next year. Yeah, I think with Coach Payne, I think whatever they return this year, I think it's a team not to sleep on. Don't take them lightly because they can kind of sneak up on you. So like I said, those Laredo teams, like you said, they have to kind of keep an eye on them. When they play them, because like I said, it's going to be a competitive game.
And there's a lot of travel in this district as well.
Yeah. A lot.
For like majority of all the non-Laredo teams, for them to have to, it's very Laredo heavy district. Um, but that's just the way the state is. You've got districts like this. Um, in pretty much every region, just because our state is so massive. But yeah, that's tough on some of those schools that do have to make that drive. I know, Harry, you experience the same thing with the Win. Eagle Pass Win. They're in a district where they have to come to San Antonio often. So
Every week.
um, yeah,
So moving to the ladies, Medina Valley won it last year. Laredo United, Alexander, Del Rio, Eagle Pass, United, and LBJ from Laredo. And if memory serves me right, it was Eagle Pass and Del Rio was touch and go for that final
Mhm.
spot. And I think Medina Valley ran away with this district last year as well here. So, Rafa, your thoughts on the District 30 girls?
I think a little bit tighter up top. I think United is going to be more improved. I think they're going to give some problems to Medina Valley, but I think Medina Valley wins this district. I think I'll put United number 2. Um, I'll go with I think Del Rio gets the 3rd spot, and they avoid playing Coach Cano's team in the playoffs. Um, and then well, depending, like I say, I guess not, because the Medina Valley is going D2, so they'll probably end up playing them. So and then number 4, um, I think it's going to come down to United South and Alexander, but I'm going to give the edge to Alexander at the 4th spot.
Steve?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Medina Valley to do similar to what they did last year. And then let's see here. I'll go with the in Del Rio. It should be for the girls. It's the Queens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Rams. So I'll go with the Queens as number 2. And then I'm gonna go Eagle Pass 3, and then United 4.
So I'm going to go Medina Valley. I'm going to go United. Go Del Rio 3. And Eagles or Bulldogs? Eagles or Bulldogs? I'll go Bulldogs. Laredo Alexander just because of the travel. But for that South or LBJ, any thoughts, Rafa?
South, I would definitely keep an eye on South because I think last year might have been a rebuilding year for them. I think they could bounce back. We don't know. Like I said, they'll contend against Alexander for that last spot. LBJ still is kind of they're still
Figuring
having
things out.
the gap. Like I said, there's still a kind of a gap there. But that's like I said, I think that's what I picked. I think that's what's going to turn out. Eagle Pass, I think they're going to take a step back. I think last year was kind of maybe a surprise year for them to get to the 5th spot, but I think they can take a step back.
Anybody? So if you had to pick one team that could make it to state from any of the classifications, is there one that you would take?
I mean, I think I would look as far as like confidence wise. I would go 4A on the girls side. Because you had 2 teams from one district that went all the way with Wimberley and Davenport. So I think that's kind of your front runners. Southwest has kind of had that little, they've kind of been right there, and then each year they get a little bit more confidence. Well, last year they made it all the way to state in the title game and just came up a little bit short. So might be, I know they lost some players, but a lot of that squad got a little taste of what it's like to go all the way to Birkelbach in Georgetown. So that could be another team. So I know you asked for one, but there's a few right there. I always love seeing the San Antonio teams, of course, because I'm from here. Make that run, whether it's the side of town that I live on or the other side of town. It's just I think that we've got a lot to say in the sport in our state.
Rafa, I don't know if you want to answer. You
I
can.
think. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
To me, like I said, yeah, I think Wimberley, Davenport, I think are too good.
I even put in Canyon Lake. I think because they made it to the regional final last year. They lost to Wimberley, and I think this year they could be the surprise and go on to to the final 4. As far as boys 4A, Lavernia, like I said, I think Lavernia can still, depending on how much they've lost, I think they can still I think they can go probably maybe 2-3 deep. That's if they don't run into, I guess we'll see if Progresso gets their act together. But then you have other teams. You have Hidalgo, and then you have Valley View. Well, like I said, they're gonna have to get their act together too as well. But then you also have Austin Northeast, and then Austin Achieve, which was the first charter school to win state. So I think like Vernia, like I said, they could. I know they'll go D1, so I think they still got a chance. 5A, the pressure's on Southwest. They came close last year. They felt they've kind of got chipped on on a play, and but like I said, that the team that they lost to from that team from Prosper, like I said, they're loaded again this year because they didn't really graduate anybody. Because we going to see the sequel to that game. But now, like I said, going into the playoffs, some of these teams kind of are maybe better prepared to go up against them. And I know me and Steve went on last year when they played Piper. Piper had them on the ropes for a bit.
Yeah, they had the
I
lead.
think what changed the momentum was that PK kind of changed the momentum, and then and that's the thing with Southwest. Once they get that momentum, they ride it and through, and they don't let up. And you know, if they can play that way, I think they can. I can think they get back. You know, Region 3. I know they'll play a team from Region 3. Region 3 is wide open this year. I don't think it's going to be Angleton. I think it could be maybe how they do if they run into like a K Park, a team like that. So like I said, I think they still, like I said, I think they'll win Region 4. But like I said, can they take it up, keep that momentum going in, and then girls side, it's that it's either whoever comes out of District 26 or 25. Last year, District 26 kind of got the best of 25, but then the year before it was 25. Like I said, you had Cedar Park and Spencer Valley go deep. I think Spencer Valley, if they can get by that first round game, I think they can do some. Like I said, I think they can get back to it. No, can Piper do the same thing too? I know Cedar Park's kind of take maybe a little step back, but we'll see. We'll see. 6A has been, I guess, Austin's been the kryptonite for both the boys and the
To me,
girls.
the boys or girls, it's
Mm-hmm.
Reagan, right? I think is at least from what I hear with the chatter from AJ's group and just with the club teams, is that Reagan is the team to look out for as far as for the big schools on the
Mm-hmm.
boys side. Along those lines here. So to me, like I said here, I would like to see Reagan, but the problem is, can they get past that second round, right?
That second round game is going to be the key because since they're going to probably end up going D1, they're going to face probably a Lake Travis or maybe an Austin Westlake. Like I know Westlake took a step back last year, but I'm sure they'll bounce back this year. Or like if you look at District 2025, you have that you saw that Ron Rock McNeil team surprise some
Mm-hmm.
teams, and you have Ron Rock High and Cedar Park Vista Ridge. They were the surprise too as well. So it's if they can get by that second round game, I think they could have a really good shot to get to the Final Four, and then maybe on to Georgetown. I think
I think
girls'
they're
side is kind of the same thing. Um, you know, can like I said, with the surprise of Westlake, didn't make it last year, and like I said, you have teams like Vandergrift too. You got to keep an eye on them. The Round Rock girls. Dripping Spring. Keep an eye on those Dripping Spring girls too. They're gonna could surprise some teams again this year. So it's all comes down to that second round game for our 6A boys and girls teams here in San Antonio. Can they win that game and then go on to and they're also getting past the third round to that regional final as well.
And something else also is just like which teams has players that are not playing MLS next, right?
Mhm.
So like because that definitely takes some talent away from certain high schools that have players that are on MLS next squads. So that also kind of waters it down for some schools a little bit.
all right. Well, I think we got enough covered. We're hour and 50 minutes in. Final thoughts, Steve. I think we'll probably catch up with you later on through the year, if not bracketology, possibly depending on when we have it and the time frames and setup here. Any thoughts for you, and then how can we get a hold of you? And if you want to promote anything, whether it's your training or barbecue business for that here. That I think you're still doing it, right? I know not as often, but
Yeah, not as often. I do coach, typically around once a week. So, like it says on here, my Instagram is 78 Soccer Training. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys having me on. I'm excited for 2026 season. I'll be out at watching some games. I'll probably have my niece with me at a few games. So, like I said, mentioned earlier, excited to get out there and support San Antonio local soccer. And but yeah, no, I'm sure I'll, if y'all invite me, I'll definitely try to be on the show and let y'all know what I've been seeing around town. Northside schools, SAISD schools, Northeast independent schools, maybe even a little bit further out, who knows. But I'm always looking at different schedules, different matchups of non-district games. Of course, we've got tournaments coming. I guess probably less than 2 weeks, right? We got some
New Year's Eve, which is New Year's Eve. I mean, New Year's.
New Year's Day.
Yeah,
It's kind of
yeah.
New Year's Day, which is kind of
New
weird.
Year's Day. Yeah, I know. I saw someone was
There will
playing
be,
on
there will be some
January
partying
1st.
that night. Early
I
to
was like,
bed.
man, they're not going to be able to watch the Rose Bowl or any of that. But okay.
I know I'll
Uh,
be out. I'll be out at the fields. Northside already bought my Northside pass, so I can go into any of the Northside fields and watch soccer for that here. So I'm excited about going and do that. Although I did find out it's northeast and north side because I know Jay plays at back against TMI on New Year's Day in the north side northeast tournament. So,
wow. Okay.
And then we have Alamo Heights, I think, going on too as well.
mhm.
And then a couple other ones, I think.
Well, you got the Austin Lake Travis one. You've got
Second week, I believe. The second week of January.
yeah, more. And then I think that there's, with the bigger districts, they already have a district match in, July 8th, 9th, 10th, something like that, early in
Well, the
January.
9 teams the 9 teams that midweek is a
Hmm.
district match. Like
Right.
I know,
Yeah.
I think I want to say Southwest, or is it or it might not be
I think
Southwest.
Northside. They played
Northside.
like one of the district games during the weekend. Then they
Yeah,
played.
like the Harlan
Yeah,
and Marshall, Warren districts, Taft. So I think they already have, it's tournament, and then it's a district match,
district
and
game.
then tournaments again, the following weekend. Or I don't know, some schools decide to rest, right? I think, wasn't there a school or two that didn't
Tat did that. I remember Coach Davis. He told me that they took a little break between this. They played a tournament and then they took a break.
load management?
Yeah. I
It
know
comes
with
in
Coach Cano, he played. I know last year his team played. Well, before he took over Canyon, I think they played 3 tournaments, but I think he took one off, so he wanted a little space in between because I think they're one of the few districts that has less. They don't have the 9 teams and so forth. But I know he's going I think to the Woodlands and I think the Governor's Cup too. As well, and some of the boys, our boys, the boys around here, I think they're doing some of those tournaments as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody's going to North Texas Elite. There's a couple of teams that should go to that one.
But yeah, like for Jay, just as an example, they play the Northside tournament Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Mondays, no school, but there is practice. Tuesday, practice. Wednesday against McCollum, and then they play at the Smithson Valley tournament Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So not a lot of practice, but a lot of game action. And I know that's um, pet peeve of Rafa. That's he's like slow down the scrimmages, more practices, a couple weeks of practice. That way you can develop your team a little bit more. But
That's what we used to do back in when I coached. We didn't play our scrimmages till the day after New Year's, and then the following week we started playing our non-district games, and it gave us like 3 weeks of preparation. Because remember, you have to take some days off during the Christmas holidays, I think, and before you can come back and start practicing. And I think, maybe that's something the UIL really kind of needs to look into, because one week after tryouts and to play right away, and you really don't accomplish anything. Especially, I know some players have been playing all year long with club and all that, but you kind of do want to give them a little break, with all the amount of games they've played. I think that's something they do need to look into, is maybe push back the scrimmages, give them at least 2 weeks to prepare, and then, start doing your thing. But
Yeah, and it's almost a good thing when your district is an odd number district,
'Cause you get the bye weeks.
7 or
Mm.
9. You get a bye
You get a
week
bye.
there. Some teams do like to try to fill that in with another game, but yeah, why not give your team some time to rest, and like Rafa said, get some preparation in before get your legs back and watch some video of previous matches, and rest your legs, because the season, it's a long season, especially for those that are playing all the way into April.
And then club
And
as
club.
well. Add that
And
on top of
club.
that.
Yep.
Yeah, club as well.
Because like AJ's been playing practically since what, July, with practices,
Late July or early August, yeah.
and then games, and then tournaments, and so
Yeah, they don't really get a break in between, and that's what I was hoping. Like I said, that's something they really kind of need to look into. Kind of push back some of those scrimmages. You don't have to play 4 or 5 scrimmages. 2 or 3 is enough. But the practice time that's the key there. The practice time is gonna what really kind of matters. Steve can tell you. When we did our kind of the coaching licenses, that's what was the focus. And if you're gonna get better, it's during practice.
Right.
The games just kind of shows you what you've learned from those practices, and can you execute
Right.
your technique and so forth. And I think that's what UIL needs to kind of do, is kind of give that gap, for those players, because club, you're already playing. I think, I don't know how many games AJ has played, maybe from July to, I'm sure there's probably over 20 to close to 20, 30 games there. And
With tournaments, yeah.
you do need a little break in between. And like I said, that practice helps out, at least it gets your legs rested and so forth. And plus you're able to work on little things here and there.
Yeah, and especially if you've got, I know with AJ's club, they only do a practice on Sunday now, but I do know other clubs that are practicing more along those lines, and for that here. But I know, to quote our friend Lethal, club and and high school wish they had a better relationship between them. And if you're watching the Thursday night game, it's an overtime, and Seattle has an opportunity to either win or tie, as there are about 3 minutes left in overtime. But hope everybody has a wonderful Christmas. I don't know if we're doing another show before then. We may not. I know Sunday we're planning on doing an SAFC Fancast, because there's players that have came
Schedules.
back. Schedule. The formerly Jägermeister Cup is now not the Jägermeister Cup for that here.
Sorry, Matt.
Pirano's back. So there is some things to talk about SAFC. So I think on Sunday we're going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
This time next week. So Rafa, I'm sure you're going to be home with mom and the family. So we may catch
Play it by ear.
you after Christmas. That
Probably.
week
We can play it by ear. Yeah.
Before the week before
game start.
The game start.
Yeah, officially the game start on the 29th. So on the 29th and on, it's an official game, so you can't count it as a scrimmage. So December 29th is the official first game.
Although there is some teams that have records in Max Prep, because somebody told them, "Hey, report to Max Prep." But yeah, no.
Yeah, don't report your scrimmages on Max Prep.
It throws your schedule.
You don't want to upset somebody.
But hope everybody has a wonderful evening. Thank you for listening, whether it's on YouTube or the podcast of your choice. Please like and review if you can. And what's life without goals? We are out of here. And obviously, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever that you support for the holiday season.
Feliz
Uh,
Navidad.
be kind to each other. And if, just because it is the holiday season, if anybody needs to talk, just don't be afraid to give any of us a call. We'll listen to you. Go have a beer, soda, tea, coffee, whatever you want, just to let you vent